on WMUN 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, highlighting the Cardinal teams, administration, alumni, and community. Now here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
And we are back. It's week 3 of This Week in Ball State Sports here live on WMUN 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and it is middle of September. We have football coming up for family weekend and a lot to talk about here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Special thank you to everybody who listens here, either live or recorded. We enjoy your support and are thankful for all of it here from Ball State Athletics and Wolf Boom Radio. Special shout out to head coach Mike Uremovich first joining us here on the tie line. And coach, it's a busy and exciting time for Ball State football right now, but a chance to host the first home game of the season. What's it like to finally be able to get things going here at Schumann Stadium?
We're excited to be at home. Our players are excited. Our staff's excited. And family weekend's great. Hopefully we get a bunch of community members out from Muncie and students with their families coming out to watch us play Saturday. And it is special to play at home, and it's an opportunity we're excited about.
Coach, how much have you been thinking about the chance to run out to Schumann Stadium for the first time after running out at 2 opposing venues to start off your coaching tenure?
Honestly, not much. I've just been thinking about the fact that we don't have to travel this week, which is great for our guys. You know what I mean? We got back at 5 in the morning on Sunday morning, and it makes it a short week, so it's nice to be at home after that trip on Saturday.
Coach, you talk about the road trip. How have you seen the team respond in the last couple of days during practice?
We had a real good practice yesterday, probably our best Wednesday we've had. Third down red zone day, but just the best practice we had from attention to detail and focus and guys flying around and good looks from the scout team. So, I always feel good when we have a good Wednesday and Thursday because that means you're ready to go play. So we got to have a good one here in about 40 minutes, and then we'll be able to walk through Friday and be ready to play Saturday.
You mentioned the details. How much of that can you go through on a week-to-week basis when you're in the middle of the season now?
Well, it's all about the details and focus of the game plan, and every week's a little different. So defensively, these guys are different than Auburn and they're different than Purdue. So it's trying to get our guys to see the tendencies that they have and play the calls that we call. And offensively, obviously, we're going against a different front. They're primarily a 4-down front. They do play some odd, but we haven't seen a ton of 4-down this year, so the schemes are a little different, running the ball and in protection. So it's really important the guys lock in the meetings so we can be effective when we're on the field.
We'll definitely talk through the New Hampshire game, preview that coming up with what you see on the offense and defense there. But real quick, Coach, when you look back at the tape of the Auburn game, what do you notice most?
Our front 7 played really well. I think we had 5 sacks against an SEC opponent, and that makes me feel really good going into the rest of the schedule. You think you have a good D-line, and they played pretty well against Purdue. But the D-line and linebackers, and honestly the secondary caused a couple of those sacks too by being over the top of routes and covering guys. So sacks require all 11 guys. You got to cover the route, you got to get a pass rush, and sometimes the guy that gets the sack is getting it because the other guy contained the quarterback. It takes all 11 to get to the quarterback, and I was happy with the way the defense got after them a little bit in the pass game, and honestly, frankly, did a pretty good job against the run.
And the defensive line forcing fumbles. That's something we saw against Auburn as well.
We just got to get those balls.
Yeah.
There's 5 times the ball was on the ground, and we got one of them. But, those things come in bunches. We just got to keep punching at the ball and keep getting it out, and we'll get them.
How much of a testament do you think that is to what Coach Knowles is doing with this defensive line and this defense as a whole?
Coach Knowles and the whole defensive staff have done a nice job developing those guys from when we got here in the spring, and the improvement that we see on a daily basis from those guys has been fun to watch for us.
And Darren Conley almost had an interception he was able to keep, too. A defensive lineman get an interception opportunity.
Yeah, that would have been great. We got a roughing the passer on that, which I don't love the call, but that happens. But, Voorhees, his buddy cost him the pick, because if he wouldn't have hit the quarterback there, we would have had an interception.
Head coach Mike Uremovich joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, let's go ahead and preview New Hampshire. First home game of the year, bringing in New Hampshire into town. They've got a 2-0 record so far. Their defense has been stout from an FCS rank. What do you notice when you turn on the tape about their defense?
Defensively, they run to the football. They're physical. And they do a really good job in their front seven, kind of like us, of getting knocked back on the O-line. Their linebackers are really downhill, and then they play a lot of quarters. Their safeties are down in there making tackles. So they're a very good defensive football team. They have some really good players on defense. I'd say their linebackers are probably the strength of the unit because of they feed the ball to them to make plays.
When you look at this linebacker core, what makes you say that?
They are never out of gap. You know, sometimes you'll play somebody and you'll see guys that'll freelance at linebacker. You'll see guys that won't necessarily fit their gap. They're very, very sound. They're very, very well coached. I mean, they were a national playoff team last year. They're 2-0 this year. I think they're getting votes in the FCS poll. I mean, I think last I heard, I don't check that stuff, but somebody told me that. But I just know they're a good football team, and those linebackers do their job on every play. You're not going to get them to be not assignment sound. You're not going to trick them and get them out of a gap. So we got to move them up front and then climb to the backers.
So you talk about their linebackers, you talk about their defensive front. How is your offensive line through the first 2 weeks prepared to handle a team like New Hampshire after what they've seen?
We're actually excited about playing against the four-down front because our defense does a lot of that. So it's something that we've seen a lot in camp. So a lot of the looks are similar to things that we've seen. But we have to get movement on the down guys first. They do a very nice job of, as soon as those guys get their read at linebacker, they're not blitzing, but it's almost like they're blitzing. They're not sitting there and reading. They are downhill to their gaps right now. So that means we can't sit on our double teams as long as you can against some people because you're going to have to get off and get to that backer that's fitting.
Head coach Mike Uremovich joining us live here on This Week in Ball State Sports. We're talking family weekend, previewing the New Hampshire Wildcats coming to Muncie, Indiana. Coach, we've talked about New Hampshire's defense, flipping it over to their offense. They're led by a quarterback that's starting for the first time in his career at the collegiate level. Several new starters, but their offensive line is one of their most consistent pieces returning from last year. What do you see when you turn on the tape of their offense?
The quarterback makes them go, and I know he's going to want to have a really good game. He's a Chicago kid, so I'm sure he'll have a bunch of family here. This is probably the closest he'll play to home in his career.
Yeah, true.
But he's a competitor. He can throw the football, but he makes a lot of plays with his feet, similar to the quarterbacks we've played the last 2 weeks. He will run the ball. I believe he leads them in touchdowns on the year. So, you know, he's going to try to make some plays with his feet. We got to keep him in the pocket, and they do throw the ball. And their best wide receiver is a bigger, taller guy, number 8, 6'1", 6'2", senior that's played a lot of football. And so you get a taller guy like that, you know, they'll throw the ball up to him and have him go get it.
Head coach Mike Uremovich joining us here live on 92.5 FM, 1340 AM on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, you mentioned after the game on the post-game interview with Mark versus Auburn that you want to see your offense take the next step. What do you want to see be the next step?
We have to. I mean, obviously it's score points, but the way you score points is to be better on first and second down, so we're not in third and long. But all of that being said, the last couple games we've had red zone opportunities and have not came away with points. And we pride ourselves on scoring touchdowns in the red zone because that's what wins games. You can't be kicking field goals all day. And we need to finish drives in the red zone with 7 points. And we worked really hard on the red zone yesterday. We'll review it again today. But when we get the ball down there, we got to score, and we need to get 7.
Coach, last one. What's your message to the fan base for the first home game as the head coach of Ball State football?
It's going to be a beautiful day, 85 degrees. Come on out and watch us play. It'll be a lot of fun. I've said this since I got here, and I think it's held true that you're going to see a team that's going to play really, really hard, be very physical and disciplined, and they're going to have fun playing the game of football. It's going to be fun to watch them play, and we haven't got the results we wanted the last 2 weeks, but those things have been true. We have been physical, we have played hard, and the kids have enjoyed playing the game of football, which is what it's about to me.
That's head coach Mike Uremovich joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Coach U joining us on the phone lines here live on This Week in Ball State Sports. We have a lot coming up here on the show. We'll get to Michelle Johnson, who is with the Ball State Foundation. She's going to break down what a game day looks like from a fan perspective outside the gates, a Charlietown perspective. She has been all over the place, making sure that Charlietown and so much of the festivities that happen right before the game and all the festivities are ready to go before kickoff. Michelle joins us next This Week in Ball State Sports on WMUN.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. GameBridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now.
$80 million listeners depend on AM radio to always be on, delivering news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports you can trust. AM radio also delivers vital emergency information when you need it most. Text AM to 39179. Tell Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Welcome back on This Week in Ball State Sports. We're live every Thursday from 9 to 9:30, talking Ball State sports, getting you set for all of the events coming up, especially on Family Weekend. Michelle Johnson, the Senior Director of Athletic Engagement with the Ball State University Foundation, joining us here on the show. Before we get to Family Weekend, Michelle, thank you so much for taking some time.
Thanks so much, Mick. Looking forward to chatting with you today.
I know your time is very limited because of all the responsibilities you have coming up, especially with Family Weekend, but how excited are you that we finally are at Family Weekend for Ball State football?
Very excited. We are so excited for the first home game this season. We're looking forward to welcoming our alumni friends and fans back. There are so many activities that are student programs on campus and student affairs have put on, and we're looking forward to joining those activities on Saturday with all the events we have around the stadium.
Now that you've had a chance to digest what the timeline looks like, Michelle, for Saturday with the 2 o'clock kickoff, what is that timeline for the events at Charlottetown and all the buzz before you walk into the stadium?
Sure. So this year, new is 4 hours prior to kickoff, every home game, the tailgate lots will open. So that will be 8 a.m. on Saturday. And then at 11:45, we ask folks to gather around for the Cardinal Walk to welcome the team as they walk down the drive into the football facility. And then our first Charlottetown will start at noon, and that takes place in front of the Alumni Center in the lawn area and the Circle Drive. This is a free event open to everyone. We will have food trucks, we will have entertainment and inflatables for families, we will have games, followed by a pep rally at 1 o'clock with our spirit groups, President Mearns, Jeff Mitchell, and new men's tennis head coach, Gina Orlando. So we're looking forward to that. And then, of course, we love to help usher people into the stadium for the 2 o'clock game against New Hampshire.
No, that's perfect. So food trucks there, shaved ice, it sounds like, potentially for a warm Saturday afternoon?
Yes. We will have 4-Day Ray providing our beverages, neighborhood pizza, Smoky Drew's barbecue, and Kona Ice, which I'm sure will be very popular on a hot day on Saturday.
Sounds like that's what I need to do before getting inside the stadium on Saturday before kickoff. Michelle Johnson joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking all things foundation and the atmosphere and environment before you walk into Schumann Stadium for Family Weekend coming up at 2 o'clock against New Hampshire. Michelle, before people get to the tailgates, before they get to Charlottetown, what information do you want them to know and be prepared for?
Of course, new this year, which has been communicated broadly, it's a clear bag policy at Schumann Stadium, so we want to make sure folks are aware of that. We just look forward to an inviting and exciting atmosphere surrounding Schumann Stadium through all of our parking lots, inviting our donors and season ticket holders back, and just looking forward to a fun atmosphere that we can entertain and all of our alumni friends and fans. We're really looking forward to a great day of weather, and with our new football staff and Coach U, we're really excited for the season.
Michelle, how many places do you have to be on game day with all the responsibilities you have?
That is a great question, Mick. I was, writing out my itinerary for Saturday and all the various places I need to be. I'll probably be at 4 or 5 throughout the day before the game even starts. So I'll be walking around the donor lots, escorting some football staff around, and of course we'll be at Charlottetown and then heading over to the stadium for the game.
When you talk about Charlottetown and the community, so many people have been around Ball State events and they've been able to see what Charlottetown is. But for those who may not be totally familiar with it, how would you describe what it is?
Sure. So we have hosted what is known as Charlietown for, well over 10 years in various iterations. And we've found our sweet spot in front of the Alumni Center, which is diagonal from Schumann Stadium. So it's a great location. It's a free event. It's always been a free event where we provide free entertainment. We have a DJ. We have all the food trucks for individuals to purchase on their own. It's a great atmosphere that, is entertaining. Folks can sit around, they can dance around, they can kind of do whatever they want, which is really fun to offer and close to the stadium.
Michelle Johnson joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, getting you all set for family weekend and the excitement around Ball State's first football game coming up 2 o'clock Saturday against New Hampshire. Michelle, is there anything else you want people to know about Charlietown or about the festivities before Saturday?
We just really look forward to this new season and welcoming our fans and alumni and students and all audiences here for exciting game day. And, we look forward to a successful season all around. So thanks for having me on, Mick, and it'll be great on Saturday.
Of course, Michelle, really appreciate you joining the show This Week in Ball State Sports every Thursday from 9 to 9:30. Michelle, thank you so much, and we will see you Saturday for Family Weekend.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mick.
Thank you again to Michelle Johnson for joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports in a pre-recorded conversation. And one big piece of news from there is the tailgate lots opening 4 hours before kickoff. So for a 2 o'clock kickoff against New Hampshire, tailgate lots open up at 10 a.m. Make sure you get inside, go to the game. 2 o'clock kickoff against New Hampshire for Family Weekend. This is This Week in Ball State Sports. And during the press conference on Monday for Ball State football, Eric Weatherly and Nathan Voris were the two player representatives, and both of them had comments that really struck and had a chance to talk about being at home for the first time in Family Weekend. And those are two new players to Ball State's football roster. So here's Eric Weatherly talking about the home field advantage of being back at Schumann Stadium.
It feels good to kind of have home field advantage, but our mentality this week is to go 1-0. New Hampshire is a very good team, and we're not taking them lightly.
A lot to unpack there. Want to enjoy Family Weekend, but we're not taking New Hampshire lightly, and it's all business trying to go 1-0 each and every week. That is Eric Weatherly's comments there for the press conference. And then also Nathan Voris talked about the fans coming out for the first time to Schumann Stadium.
I'm looking forward to see all the fans come out. Obviously, home field advantage. Going to probably be a big crowd, so it's going to be fun.
So he's excited. Nathan Voris in his first game as a Ball State Cardinal inside Schumann Stadium on Saturday. Nathan said that from the first game to the second game, there was a lot of growth, and then he also had some really good things to say about the group up front on that defensive line.
Really just playing our own game. We know we're talented enough up front to compete with any team in the country, so it's pretty much just what we told ourselves.
And Nathan Voris had that backed up by what, Coach, you said with us earlier just a moment ago about that defensive line forcing 5 sacks, a couple of forced fumbles, and now, Coach, you saying that the next step is definitely to make sure that they secure those fumbles and get those interceptions in their back pocket. So that's Nathan Voris talking about the group up front. Eric Weatherly also said something in the press conference about his prior connection to Kyle Kelly's family and how that has helped build the confidence with him as well this year.
It's amazing. I actually played with his cousin at my old school, so before I even thought about coming here, me and him texted, and I just liked the way how we bonded, and since being here, we've gotten closer on and off the field.
I think there's a lot of exciting things to come between Kyle Kelly and Eric Weatherly, that dynamic. We know that Kyle Kelly, Keon Magwood have been roommates in the past, quarterback to wide receiver combo. But to hear Eric Weatherly talk about how he has a history with Kyle Kelly's family and a cousin, knowing that those conversations have taken place, really excited to see what happens throughout the course of the season for those two here at Ball State football. So that's Eric Weatherly and Nathan Voris comments from the press conference on Monday. And previous to that, Michelle Johnson just joined us from the Ball State Foundation to talk about the timeline of Charlietown, to talk about the timeline of the festivities happening on Family Weekend. Don't forget, tailgate lots open up 4 hours before kickoff, 2 o'clock start. That means tailgate lots open at 10 a.m. We'll step aside here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Come back. Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell is up next on 92.5 WMUN 1340 AM on This Week in Ball State Sports.
The moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. GameBridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now.
$80 million listeners depend on AM radio to always be on, delivering news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports you can trust. AM radio also delivers vital emergency information when you need it most. Text AM to 39179. Tell Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Final segment here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Thanks for joining us live on WMUN. And every week we're live 9 to 9:30 right here on Thursday mornings. Final segment is Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell joining us here live. Jeff, appreciate you hopping on and talking to all things Ball State right before we get ready for Family Weekend. I know your schedule's a little packed at this time of the year.
Well, Mick, thank you for having me. And yeah, it's a little hectic right now, but we're so excited about the game on Saturday and looking forward to seeing the Cardinals compete. And, I'm encouraged by how we've practiced this week from what I've seen and listening to Coach and meeting with him and take into account, the words of Eric Weatherly and Nathan Voris, who you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. Those guys are electric players on both sides of the ball, and to see them ready and focused for this week brings me a lot of excitement and looking forward to seeing those guys play.
Jeff, we've seen a couple of images on social media about new signage going up at Schumann Stadium. How exciting is that to add to the atmosphere and the overall vibe of this new year?
Well, anytime you can do a refresh, it's important just for the aesthetics of the venue. And, a lot of the banners that we had inside and outside the stadium had served us well. And they were beginning to fade a little bit, to just being weathered and the sun. Mick, you and I have talked about this. The sun is undefeated.
It's so 1-0 every week. It's 1-0 every week.
And it was time for a refresh. So we're excited about what the stadium looks like. It looks great. I've been walking it the past couple of days as those improvements have been made. And we're looking forward to having our fans in Schumann Stadium on Saturday. And I know you've talked about it, but just a reminder to our fans that the tailgate lots open up 4 hours before kick, and that'll be a consistent time frame throughout the season. We are instituting a clear bag policy that is a standard policy across all colleges and professional venues, or at least most colleges and professional venues, and it's something that'll help our fans get in the stadium easier. There's certainly safety measures involved with that as well, and we're looking forward to our fans having a great experience within Schumann Stadium. And it should be easier to move through concessions lines. We have more convenient methods of payment now. Certainly a lot of options with a variety of food trucks in addition to our concessions offerings. And there'll be a brand new Barnes & Noble bookstore on site for our fans to pick up their gear. And as a reminder too, Mick, we are encouraging all our fans to wear black. And we look forward to cheering on the Cardinals as they take the field at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
It'll be a beautiful day, too, on Saturday. Earlier last week, it was projected to be in the 70s. Now I think it might be in the 80s on Saturday. So a picture-perfect day to enjoy family weekend and bring all the vibes.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. The weather is cooperating, and it'll be a great day to be outside and to enjoy the weather and to enjoy some college football. I don't know that you can script it any better than that.
Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. We're live every Thursday, 9 to 9:30 right here on WMUN 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and all replays available by searching This Week in Ball State Sports wherever you get your podcasts at. All right, Jeff, we know that there's so much happening within collegiate athletics from a large-scale standpoint, and that's been one of the biggest talking points throughout the course of the last few weeks with the settlements and all that coming down. But from a Ball State perspective, how have you seen all of that work together to move Ball State forward, whether that's small things that are impacting Ball State, whether it's something big from all of this that's come down, or has there been any noticeable change that you have picked up on, if that's happened so far?
Well, I think we're in the phase right now where we're beginning to plan for the future as we settle into this new era of intercollegiate athletics, and as we see the market solidify itself. We're still toying with the ideas of different transfer portals across different sports and how that may impact what or how we operate. There's just a lot of movement in the background that dictate how the business works, and so we're paying attention to all those things. Certainly, continuing to have conversations with coaches about what they're hearing in the trenches when it comes to recruiting and so forth. And right now, there's no noticeable changes, but there are a lot of conversations, a lot of planning that's being had, some very important meetings across campus that are helping us put ourselves in a position to try to continue to be successful and competitive. And it's a very interesting time, Mick, as things shift, because we haven't had this many or this much of a dynamic shift in our enterprise in a long time. And so, just talking to colleagues in the Mid-American Conference and across the country, the good news is we're kind of all in the same boat as we're trying to figure this out together. But there's some interesting conversations that are being had, and at the end of the day, Mick, we get a little bit of a distraction from some of the noise when we focus on watching our student athletes compete. And we talk about the football game on Saturday. Of course, I want to mention that we've got a couple of home matches for our field hockey programs on Friday and Sunday, and those are our events at home this weekend. Of course, we've got other teams that are competing as well. Mick, I'd like to shout out women's soccer for their victory yesterday over Fort Wayne, and that was a hard-fought victory on the road, and they begin conference play this weekend as they travel to UMass.
This week in Ball State Sports, we're with Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell here on the show, talking all things family weekend, all things Ball State. Addie Chester is 4th in the country in goals per game, it looks like, for Ball State soccer. She's been absolutely fantastic this season.
Yeah, 2-time Player of the Week already for the Mid-American Conference, and a really talented and special player. And I'm encouraged by the way our women's soccer team is playing right now under the guidance of first-year head coach Andy Stutes. And they are an aggressive bunch, both defensively and offensively. I really like their style of play, and they're fun to watch. So as we get into the home part of our schedule as conference play starts now, I encourage our fans to come out and watch us play. And that open invitation, Mick, it extends to all of our sports, certainly at home. And if you're inclined to follow them on the road, please go support the Red and White. They really appreciate the support that our fans and alumni and other friends bring to cheer them on. That's why we do what we do, is to put our student athletes in a position to be successful, to play the sports they enjoy.
Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell here live with us on WMUN This Week in Ball State Sports. Jeff, appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much, and we will see you at Family Weekend.
Look forward to it, Mick. Thank you. Go Cards.
Special thank you to Jeff, Michelle, and Coach Uremovich for joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Next week, we'll have a great show lined up as well. Coach Uremovich, Jeff Mitchell will join us. Allie Becky, all the way from Greece, is going to join us next week on This Week in Ball State Sports and talk about her journey and what it's been like the last couple of weeks going into professional basketball. Just graduated from Ball State, one of the best to ever play for Ball State women's basketball. She joins us from Greece. That is next week's show lineup, and we're excited to have it right here on WMUN 92.5 FM, 1340 AM. And just check out This Week in Ball State Sports wherever you get your podcasts on. Special thank you to Leslie Griffin back at our network studios for producing here today. I'm Mick Tudor signing off on This Week in Ball State Sports. Thanks for joining us each and every week from 9 to 9:30 a.m. right here on WMUN.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports. The preceding has been a Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network presentation on 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, WMUN.